Hello, my friends, and welcome to the Space Game Junkie Podcast. I, as always, am your co-host, Brian, and joining me, as always, is your co-host, Jim.
Here I am, despite network glitchiness tonight.
Folks are having all sorts of problems tonight. Spaz, please, folks, send your good vibes to Spaz. He is hopefully not, but very close to some of the fires up in Northern California right now. And he might have to evacuate at any time. So he is not here with us tonight because he's monitoring the various channels. So just please, send good vibes or whatever you do his way. So his house and his him and his family and whatnot stay safe because, yeah, I was seeing pictures of it up there. It's scary right now. We don't know where Hunter is. North Carolina is not on fire. So we're not sure what's going on there. Sometimes he gets so busy with work, he forgets what day it is. That's happened more than once. So I would not be surprised if something like that was happening. But we do have a guest tonight, folks, joining us also from Northern California, but a different part of it because California is freaking huge. Walt Destler, the developer of the game we're going to be talking about, Cosmoteer. Welcome, Walt.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Thanks for coming on. I had at least half a dozen people ask me when I was going to get you on the show. So there has been some anticipation with this one. A lot of people I know play your game because it's free. So let's start there. Cosmoteer is free, everyone. Let's just get that right out of the table there. It's free. You don't have to pay for it. It doesn't cost a cent. Free. And it feels...
We'd like to ask is, what the hell are you thinking?
I ask myself that question every day.
Because in a world where fidget spinners and other trash is like pushing things off the store, you have a really cool game that people would pay money for, but you're giving it away.
Yeah, so, I mean, basically, I'm not doing this as a charity, right? I do actually hope to make money off of this game someday, but and like my eventual goal is to basically sell them Steam. But for now, I've basically decided that I think the long term interest of the game would be better served by me putting the game out there for free, so that I can get lots of feedback on it, like feedback on the gameplay and bug reports, things like that, and also B, so that I can slowly build up a community around the game over time, which I hope will be willing to support the game once it actually does launch on Steam. Hopefully with strong initial sales and positive reviews.
And how is that going? Are you getting a lot of feedback? Are you getting a lot of engagement from the community?
It's been amazingly useful. The game is far better because there are a ton of people playing it. Um, people telling me like what features they want to see most implemented, things they like and don't like about the game. There's been a big modding community that's kind of built up around the game. So people adding new like modules to ships that you can build, things like that. Just like getting crash logs from players. So like whenever the game crashes, like I'll usually get an email in my inbox with like the crash log in it telling me what went wrong, so I can fix it. And hopefully just all this feedback will make the game a lot better once I actually do ask people to pay money for it.
So out of 44,000 games that are on IndieDB, you're number 85. So you must be doing something right.
Thank you. Yeah, I hope so. It's been exciting, for sure.
So once you decide to go paid, what will you still have maybe like a free version that'll be like a demo, like a limited demo type thing, and a paid version that'll have all the bells and whistles? Like, do you have a plan to go to the paid version?
I don't want to make any promises right now, but
Okay.
with the caveat that this is not a promise, my current thinking is that basically, the version that was the version that was free before the game became paid will remain free, and people anyone who already downloaded it will just be able to keep playing it, and I will probably keep the old download on the website. But that future updates, you'll need to pay for.
Okay, so that's basically the same thing that 3030 Death War did, which is pretty successful. Because that's how they roped me in. I started playing the free one, and then they were like, "Hey, we're on Steam," and it was like, "Take the money here." So yeah,
it's basically
which
what
worked out well.
did, and that game did okay.
Yeah, they're all right, I guess.
So, for folks who aren't aware of exactly what Cosmoteer is, we haven't gotten to that yet. Could you give us the elevator pitch, the bullet points as to what is the basics of Cosmoteer?
Sure. So Cosmoteer it's basically a game about designing spaceships. Um, so you start the game with a little spaceship. It has, a few laser blasters on it and half a dozen or so crew. And you fly around. You find some enemy ships to destroy, and you can destroy. If you destroy them, then you get a little bit of money, and you can use that money to then upgrade your own ship. And the thing that I think is, and I suspect most people think is really cool about this game, is that you can kind of build your own ship really however you want. Basically, you have a grid that you can place individual rooms or modules or weapons down onto, in pretty much like whatever shape or configuration you want. I mean, there are some restrictions about like you can't put anything directly behind a thruster, and like weapons have to be on the outside of your ship, things like that. But beyond like the basic restrictions, there's not really a whole lot telling you, what you can and can't do, right? This is not like so a lot of games have maybe like a predefined like hull shape for your ship, with maybe some like mount points in it. This game is not like that. This is basically you got a grid kind of SimCity style where you can really do almost whatever you want, to make your ship in whatever shape you want, position your weapons wherever you want. Um, yeah, it's really about building the ship of your dreams. And then what I personally think, the kind of the key factor that I think makes designing ships not just aesthetically interesting, but also strategically interesting, is that inside the ship you have a crew simulation going on. So ships can have anywhere between, say, a couple to uh, hundreds, in some huge cases, even thousands of crew running around doing various tasks in your ship. And this what I think is what makes ship design interesting. So, for example, crew. So, for example, for some reason in this fictional future, no one has invented power lines. So, in order for your crew to power your weapons and your thrusters, they have to like literally go to the reactor core, pick up the giant glowing battery, and hand carry it to whatever system needs that power. And so this actually like makes you. It sounds kind of primitive, right? But it makes you think about uh the let's say like the floor plan layout of your ship as you're building it. Where do you put your doors? Where do you put your corridors? How close do you put your weapon to the reactor? You want to put it close enough that your crew can get from the reactor to your weapon quickly, because how quickly they can deliver power directly affects how quickly the weapon can shoot. But at the same time, when if you don't want to put the reactor too close to the edge of your ship, because that makes it really vulnerable, and if
Yeah.
the reactor gets destroyed, then it blows up really big and blows up a bunch of stuff around it. Um, so yeah, like the crew simulation is what I think makes ship design especially interesting.
I gotta say, I love the crew simulation. You watch them run around. You watch them take whatever the little energon cubes from the reactor. That's what I'm gonna call
I don't. I think I've been calling them plasma batteries, but I don't. I haven't really thought about it that much.
the little cubes, little batteries from like the reactor to the weapon. And so like your weapon will be down for a second while someone runs to get power and runs back. And I think that's pretty great to watch that happen. I like how you could turn the interior on and off. Like so if you turn it off, you might have like a little Star Trek type window, over the
Right.
hull. And I also like how this is a nice little touch. If you turn off the interior so you get the full hull, the sound from the inside of the ship is also muffled. I really like
Yep.
that. That's a
Yep. A
nice.
lot of the sounds only play in interior view.
Right. And I also, one thing I liked is, so that folks, there are two modes of this game. There's the bounty hunter mode, where you have a ship, you fly around, you kill enemies, you make money, you buy more ships or improve your ship. But the nice thing is, in creative mode, you can build the biggest ship in the world, but to use it in bounty hunter mode, it directly, easily corresponds to a dollar value that, is makes it easy or difficult to buy in bounty hunter mode. So there's just there's almost a seamless transition, back and forth.
Yeah, I know some people. Like I was just talking to a friend yesterday about the game, and he was saying like basically how he was playing the game. He'd play bounty hunter, make a bunch of money. He wouldn't really do a lot of like actually upgrading his ship. But then once he had a bunch of money, he'd switch over to creative mode, design a ship there, save it, and then just like buy the ship in bounty hunter mode.
That's great. And I have to say, I appreciate that for someone like me who doesn't like building ships. You have many, many pre-made ships already.
Can you knock a chunk off of a ship and then like your little dudes get sucked screaming out into space and float away?
There's currently no get sucked out into space mechanic. Um, I haven't done that at least yet because I haven't quite figured out a way to make it well balanced. I
Yeah,
mean, in this game, like ships lose parts so easily that they'd
Mm.
almost like immediately everyone would get sucked out at the beginning of a battle. So I'd have to
mm.
figure out some way to balance that,
So
and I just haven't yet.
the crew just like automatically spawns in whenever you create bunks for them to sleep in or something, right?
That's how it works right now. Yeah. Eventually, I'd like to have kind of like more of a normal kind of maybe like you can dock at a space station and there are crew available to hire. Maybe like different crew have like different skills, things like that.
Or if
Uh,
two crew meet each other and like each other a lot, then
But I believe I did see that you can purchase more crew members at the moment. If you build more bunks, you can just flat out buy more crew
yeah.
members, right?
Yeah. So the way it works right now, you like if you build a bunk and by default, you can turn this option off, but by default, like if you build a cruise quarters that has 6 beds, it just like automatically buys the six crew for you.
Oh, okay.
And then if you have a crew during battle, then like you can buy the missing essentially the missing the to get back up to the maximum number of crew that you can have on your ship as determined by how many bunks it has.
Okay, that makes sense. That's really streamlined. But yeah, I would love like a space station mechanic where you, like, I lost some crew. I got to go to the bar or in the pub in the station to buy
Yeah, that's the eventual plan. Just haven't gotten that far yet.
very Sid Meier's Pirates right there, which
I like
I
the
which
restoring actions where you can like send your crew over, and once a mechanic is in place where you have to replenish those crew a little more difficultly than they just auto respawn. So it would be like you could grapple an enemy ship and then send your crew over, but you're gonna lose them, if they die. All right.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That would be awesome.
is
Or
there
maybe a
gonna
component that's just Marines.
And people ask for they want to be able to like board enemy ships, right? That's a commonly requested feature,
Yeah,
and I'd love to do it.
if we could just have your game and heat signature have a baby,
I should
and
talk to
then
that guy.
yeah, because whenever I first looked at heat signature, I thought you were going to be able to build those ships,
no?
and stuff, but no, you just deal with what it generates. So it's kind of like, well, if I could just build those things and then fly them around, and then also like run around in other people's ships
But
and
you
build them,
can
that would be
steal them and
the
fly
next
them
level.
around. You can
That's
steal them
true.
and fly them around. Yeah, it's you can just find a random ship with some guns on and steal it and then shoot the hell out of anyone you come across
Yeah.
if you want.
So what about multiplayer? It's not there yet. Is that a plan, or are you just gonna
It's not there
single
yet.
player?
That being said, I really haven't announced this yet, but I've been working on multiplayer, and it's actually pretty much done. Like it works.
Woo-hoo-hoo!
So it's just something that I am super excited about. And I haven't really told anyone yet, but at this point, it is done. It's not completely done. It's like 95% done, but it's done enough that I am basically 100% sure that it's actually going to be in the game pretty darn soon. um I'd really like to have a build out with multiplayer within the next week or two.
Oh my god.
Would be ideal. So yeah,
That would
you
be
asked
really
me
cool.
that question at the right time.
So what can you do in multiplayer? Can you like fly around in bounty hunt mode, for example? And
No. So what it's gonna be is it's gonna start off pretty simple. Basically, the first version of multiplayer is essentially just going to be like player versus player battle. So it's like imagine like you make a ship and like your friend makes a ship, or like you make like a small fleet of ships and your friend makes a small fleet of ships, and you just kind of like want to see whose ships are better, right? So like one of you can host a game and the other one can hop in, and then you can like select what ships you want to fight with, and then just have like a little battle. So something fairly simple. Eventually, I'd like to um, uh, make some more interesting multiplayer game modes. Um, people have actually been asking for like a kind of like a cooperative mode. So like maybe some sort of kind of gauntlet style where you face kind of harder and harder AI ships. Um,
Mhm.
and
ooh.
then eventually, I think it would just be cool to have basically like a multiplayer version of the creative mode, where you can actually like go into kind of like a shared space and build ships with your friends.
Oh, that'd be fun. So like multiple people working on the same ship, that kind of thing.
Yeah, basically, right?
So
So you're like,
this
hey, you want to help me build this giant star destroyer or something like that, right? Now,
So I don't know if you've seen Iron Armada yet, but it's funny because I stuck a video in the stream chat thing, but Blue Drake, the YouTuber guy, he's got a team of programmers that are working on a game, and it's yeah, 6 months, a year, something they've been working on this thing, but it's funny because this guy is like, oh, it's FTL plus Cosmoteer,
huh? Cool.
so
I have not checked it out. I will though.
yeah, so it's basically co-op ships,
Uh huh.
so you get like all the people running around in your ship, but they're actually players. But it's kind of the same deal though, and yeah, it's worth a look into.
Cool.
But it's yeah, but it's a thing where not everybody runs their own ship around, but
Gotcha.
you'd have like 20 dudes put a ship together and then go fight another team of 20 dudes.
Interesting. That sounds pretty cool. I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, I have to check it out too. This is like the second time I've heard of this game, and I've never like followed up on it.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
like what's yours coded in? Because Iron Armada is like Java, I believe.
Cosmoteer is written in C sharp.
Okay.
C sharp. So I don't know anything about C sharp. Is
It's a
that
programming language.
right? Is it like? Would you say it's more or less difficult than say Unity?
So Unity uses C sharp as its programming language. Um, my game is not Unity. It's
Oh,
just C sharp.
oh,
But yeah, like if you're most people when they make games in Unity, they do the programming in C sharp.
really?
Yep.
Learn something new every day, folks. Uh, we have a question because someone in the YouTube chat is saying your game looks like a 2D Interstellar Rift, and they're wondering if you've ever seen that game.
I don't think so.
It's another buildy shooty thing, but it's more 3D. Which, no, thank you.
Yeah, your game's a lot more done.
Yeah, not only that, but like I have an easier time dealing with 2D building like this, for example, than 3D building like Space Engineers
Yeah,
or
I've run
whatever.
into that a lot myself, and there's like a couple of games that the 3D build stuff is cool in. Um,
Yeah, as soon as I kind of decided that ships should have crew running around inside, um, then then the game basically at that point became like it had to be a 2D game. Um, I mean, like maybe there would be a way to kind of cause like a 3D version of Cosmoteer. But I feel like just kind of like it's really easy in a 2D game just to, like make the roof of the ship disappear and like you can see the entire inside of the ship and you don't have like rooms behind rooms or anything like weird like that would make it like hard to figure out what is going on in the game. It's just like it makes it makes kind of understanding the game systems and what's actually going on a lot easier if it's in 2D.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
You know,
So,
once you get done with this, you could pretty easily, I would think, because all the systems would still somewhat apply, but like spin out an alternate game that's like pirate ships on the water or something, and because I mean
that
the
would work.
basic mechanic is the same, and then you could kind of be like Lego pirates or whatever.
Someone should make out of that for my game.
Yeah, totally.
So right now, like we said, you have the two game modes. You have Bounty Hunt and you have Creative. Are you going to be adding any more during the game's early access period?
I'd like to. So actually, like the bounty hunter mode, like the main game mode right now, I actually consider to be a pretty temporary thing. It's kind
Oh,
of just like a stand-in until I get around to actually doing something more interesting. So like in the my ultimate goal is to have basically like a big galaxy that you can explore, like you can meet different factions, you can like go visit space stations where you can like get missions and you can go on missions and like get money and like maybe other kinds of loot, and you can be like mine resources from asteroids and salvage things from enemy ships and trade with people. um those are all things that I'd really love to have. And I think either the bounty hunter mode will get replaced with that mode, that more interesting, I don't know what you call it, but galaxy adventure mode or something, or maybe it will like just kind of slowly grow into that, evolve into that over time.
that sounds fun. That sounds exactly like I was, because I was enjoying Bounty Hunt mode, but I'm like, I want to do more. I want to dock at space stations
I
and get
completely
missions,
agree.
and I want to.
It's funny, like I made bounty hunter mode just for the sake of having some goal in the game, something to do besides creative mode, right? Um, and then I gave it kind of like this really big galaxy, and I never thought anyone would ever have the patience to like actually clear the whole thing. I've never cleared a whole like normal sized galaxy in bounty hunter mode. Uh, and so then I was like really surprised when people started being like, "Hey, I cleared the whole galaxy," and the game didn't tell me I won. And the game doesn't tell you you win because I didn't imagine anyone would actually ever have the patience to play through the whole thing.
Oh, that's fantastic. That is, that is great. But I'm really glad to hear that more is coming. Like, not that I wasn't enjoying Bounty Hunt mode, but like, as I'm playing, I'm like, I want to do more in this universe. I want
Yeah,
to
it's
like,
like you get to the end of the game and it's like, congratulations, you've got more time than me.
Yeah, right.
The
That's
end.
what exactly what it should say.
so because it's written in this C sharp thing, is that what makes it so moddable?
Not really. So I actually like also all the game data is basically written in this kind of custom text based language, sort of. It's not really a programming language, but it's like if you're familiar with like XML or like JSON, those are like they're not really programming languages, but they're like ways of entering data using text. And
Yeah.
so I basically kind of like created sort of like a more powerful version of that. Um, which is actually created for like a previous game I was working on. But basically, like I carried it over to Cosmoteer. And so basically, like the modding system basically allows players to change any of that data. Um, and so it's pretty flexible what people can do with it. Eventually, I would like to have like people actually be able to write C# code that the game would then load. But that we're not there yet.
That's pretty awesome. Now, does knowing Unity would know? This is a random programming question. Would
Sure.
knowing Unity help you know how to pro? Would you already pretty much know how to program in C sharp if you already knew how to program in Unity?
You would
Or
be
is it?
pretty close. Until recently, Unity used a pretty old version of C Sharp. I think they
Oh,
like very recently, in the past few months or so, upgraded to a much newer version. So there might be like a lot of newer C Sharp features that you wouldn't be able to use in Unity, and therefore you might not know. Um, but otherwise, yeah, like Unity uses C Sharp. If you know how to program Unity, then you know a lot of C Sharp.
yeah, because I've tried programming and yeah, my brain can't wrap around it. So I'm very very grateful for those of you who can wrap your brain around it and make these awesome games. So how long have you been working on this one?
Oh gosh, that's a good question, and it depends on exactly how you count. I've been working on the game full time for probably just over a couple years now. Um,
Wait, stop. You're charging nothing for it and working full time on it.
that is true.
How? If you don't mind me asking.
Basically, just living off my savings. Um, I
Good for
mean, I guess
you.
like a nice thing about living in Silicon Valley where I live is that programmers get paid well. And so basically, I was able to save up a good amount of money so that I could do this for 3 years without actually making really much money. I do sometimes like teach on the side. I make a little money that way. So I don't quite have zero income, but for the most part, I do work on the game full time.
That's pretty amazing. I mean, we run into so many different stories about developers wanting to work full time in their game and they can't, and there are many that can. So it always fascinates me to see how developers make that work. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, and I'm certainly very fortunate. I think it's just largely like actually having worked a well-paying job, a quote unquote real job, that paid pretty well, and was just able to save up a good amount of money that way.
So what were you doing? Like working at Google or something?
No, I was working for a video game company in the San Francisco Bay Area.
which
It's a
one? Which one?
uh, it's probably a company you've never heard of. It's a company that does mainly mobile games. Like it's called Rumble Games.
You're right. I've
They
never
made a
heard of
game
it. Good
called
job.
yeah, they made a game called Kings Road.
I think I've heard of that one actually.
You might have. It was originally. I did not work on Kings Road very much. But Kings Road is. It was originally like a Facebook and browser based Flash game, and it is probably the best looking Flash game I have ever seen. Um, uh, and then they eventually did like a mobile port for the game, and I think that's largely where the game makes most of its money these days.
I think I saw a commercial for it once, like an actual on television commercial for it.
Hmm.
Maybe
I don't think I've seen that commercial.
if that's the
Maybe
game
we'll
I'm
spot.
thinking of. Anyway, but you leave that? I hope you don't mind me asking, but because I know there are a lot of people who want to do this, so I like
Mhm.
asking about these things so other people can hear the answers. Did you purposefully leave? If you don't mind me asking, that gig to work on this full time, or did just circumstance put you in that direction?
Kind kind of. It was certainly so like I was working on the game kind of on the side in my spare time, like during that job, right? It was always kind of a game that I wished I had more time to work on. And I kind of dreamed about being able to, turn it into a real thing, work on it full time, right? I wouldn't exactly say that's the reason I left the company. Just kind of like the company went through some, I think, difficult financial times, and for various reasons, I wasn't especially happy anymore, and so I decided to leave and find something new to do. And so basically, I left that job, and I then decided I was gonna work on Cosmoteer until something more interesting came along. And so far, nothing more interesting has come along. And at this point, I don't think anything is going to. I'm feeling be committed to this game right now.
That's
Yeah, and the mobile
amazing.
the mobile market, especially in the valley. I got a buddy that lives out there, and it's like, he works for Zynga, he works for Kabam, he works for some place I never heard of, and it's just like every 6 months to a year, and it's not his fault. It's just like, well, this thing I was working on got canceled, and
Yep,
it's not
that
like they shift you to another team. It's just like, well, everybody out the door, you know.
that sounds very familiar.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's a kind of thankless lifestyle, especially living in a place where the rent's really high. So
Yes.
I guess you learn really quick to put some money back for the lean times.
Yeah.
Well, that is pretty great because like we hear all kinds of stories about how like some people want to do this full time, but it didn't work out. It hasn't worked out yet, and stuff like that. So that's really encouraging. It's always encouraging to hear when it does work out. And I'm sure you had to make sacrifices in saving and whatnot to make it happen. But it sounds like it's working out for you. It sounds like you're pretty fulfilled. Which
So far, it's certainly been fulfilling. Whether it ends up being a sound financial decision is still very much an open question.
yeah, but I mean, you're happy with it. You seem like genuinely, and we've talked to a lot of developers, and you can tell some of them this feels a little more like work than joy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But to you, you sound genuinely joyous about your game, which is always nice to hear.
I think I am. I think it helps having like actually a lot of people playing the game and just like
Yeah.
constantly being excited about it, right? That really helps to keep me motivated. I can't imagine staying motivated if I was just like shut in my bedroom making this game that no one was playing, right? Like just getting that continuous like constant to be honest is like basically an ego boost of people telling me, hey, I really like the game, hey, can you add this feature, hey, I made this ship, check it out. That's just like it's really invigorating and motivating.
Yeah, and you can tell we have some people from your community in our Discord in the video chat, and they're very zealous, very happy about your game. So it's very nice to see because sometimes we don't get anyone from the games community showing up. Sometimes we get like a couple of people. So it's really always nice to see fans show up to support, their game. That's always nice to see. And I was looking at your forum because you sent me a link, and not only was everyone there really nice, which is rare, but your
I hope it stays
forum
that way.
your forum is super active. Like everyone's
Yeah, I can't keep up with it.
Oh yeah, I can only imagine. Yeah, I mean, people were just talking about ship designs and the game and all kinds of nonsense, and that's amazing. To have a community rise up around something you do.
It feels really good. Not gonna lie.
Right. Um. So right now we've talked about this before. The game is free. Do you have any kind of timetable? And I'm not saying you should make a promise, but do you have any kind of general timetable as to when it might go to a paid version?
Honestly, not really. Um, if it happens sometime next year, that would be great.
That
Because
seems
eventually I
reasonable.
do run out of money.
Yeah, no, that seems reasonable. Now. Do you think you might do like the Kickstarter route? Do you might do the alpha funding route? Have you like
That's a good question. I think my current thinking, and again, no promises here. This is just kind of what I'm thinking
sure?
about. Um, my current thinking is basically just to launch the game on Steam Early Access. Um, I've thought about doing a Kickstarter. Kickstarters kind of come with their own can of worms, right? They're a
Oh
lot of
God,
work to
yeah,
run. Like
yeah.
everyone I've talked to who has run a Kickstarter has been like, yeah, like running the Kickstarter was a full-time job and I got nothing done on my game for a month, right? Um, so is it worth sacrificing a month of dev work to run a Kickstarter? I don't know. And then plus, like Steam fairly recently made some kind of like policy changes around things like reviews, right? So like no longer do reviews from players who received keys outside of purchasing the game on Steam count towards Steam reviews, right? So like if I did a Kickstarter and like say like maybe 10,000
Yeah.
people bought on Kickstarter, then there'll be like potentially thousands of hopefully positive reviews that the game that wouldn't count towards like this towards Steam's percentage thumbs up score, right? So in that way, it's actually possible that doing a Kickstarter would kind of shoot me in the foot.
Yeah, when they made that change, a lot of people who had a Kickstarter and gave out keys beforehand and whatnot were very upset.
Yeah,
And
I can
and
understand that.
yeah, and rightfully so. I mean, I understand where Steam is coming from. They're trying to solve a problem by making it as easy as possible on them, which is what they seem to do with a
Yeah,
lot of
right.
things.
I don't even want to say I think that Steam made the wrong decision. I don't know enough about that situation to be able to judge them. But certainly as a developer, at least as like I like legitimate developer who's not gonna like just give a bunch of keys away in exchange for reviews or anything like that, right? It's not a great thing.
And it's kind of funny. With your game being free, you probably don't even have to deal with that kind of YouTuber scam that's been going around. Like, hey, I'm a YouTuber. Give me 5 keys for your game so I can cover it. I mean,
Yeah, if
Yeah,
you
I mean, not yet. No one has asked me for
not
yeah,
yet.
do
keys.
you
Yeah.
I'm
Oh,
sure they will.
I was gonna say with the game being free, do you still get the spam like, hey, can I have some keys? But yeah,
No,
but
I have not gotten that spam yet. I imagine once the game is actually on Steam, I will get a lot of spam.
yeah,
Probably.
the what seems to be going on is that there is a market in just selling the trading cards and the
That's the big
achievement
problem.
stuff and all
Yeah.
that, right? So people will put any kind of BS up there, and then like hand out a bunch. Well, the other thing too is that, let's say I make like 10,000 bogus Steam accounts, right? And each one of them goes up there and buys the game for a nickel, or it's a free game, or whatever. And then I can actually like suck the trading cards out of those and
Right.
then resell them. So they have bot farms that do nothing but just sell trading cards out of these junk games. And if you get like 10 cents for a card, well, you do
That
10,000 of
adds up.
those, you made some money. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a whole Steam review group that's dedicated to hunting down and watching these guys, and just keeping documentation. They've got extensive spreadsheets online of who's
Wow.
doing what. And I think they were a pretty big part of that Zombatron, or whatever it was, Zana, whatever, that had like 200 games yanked off of Steam a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Just because they just sent a spreadsheet to Valve, and they were just like, look at this, right? And that was it. Whenever they yanked that dude's games off of there, because there was like 10 different alias accounts, so it looked like 10 different developers. It was all the same dude. And
Mm.
whenever they canned all the games from that was 10% of the games on Steam went away in
Oh my
one
gosh.
shot. Yeah, it was, or not 10%, 2% rather.
Still, that's
of the games.
that's a lot of games.
Yeah, it was like a wicked. I was like, wait a minute, seriously, 2%. But yep, and a lot of the stuff that clown was doing was asset flip stuff, where you go to the Unity store and you just buy a pre-made, like, here's generic zombie survival kit, right? And they load it up in Unity, they compile it, and they upload it on Steam as a complete game.
Yeah, that's
for $1.
That's not cool.
No, absolutely not. And unfortunately, I guess it's the license and terms of service of the way that the asset store works. It's perfectly legal, and I just wish that they would just adjust the clause of that, and just be like, but you can't just unaltered flip it, or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
I
if I was the
imagine.
asset maker, I'd be pissed if somebody was doing that. It's like, well, why didn't I do that?
Yeah, because they have probably only got paid once for that asset for all those games, right?
Exactly. And then of course, because it's a flip like that, then they attach the achievements and the Steam cards and all the other BS, so they triple dip off of it.
Yeah.
I had somebody email me the other day, said that they would give me $175 for 20,000 keys for my game. I was like, what? So now we know the going rate, I guess.
That seems like a bad deal.
I wonder if that's prorated to how many people already own the game, how the ratings for the game are. Like,
No, this was just like some Russian
right.
outfit.
But what I'm saying is, like, is that the same for everyone they contact?
I think that's a general pitch, is just like, hey, are you dumb enough to give me 20,000 keys for $175? And if it was like somebody made a game and they were like, well, these keys cost me nothing, why not, right? And yeah,
who knows?
Yeah, I don't know.
20,000
Maybe if your game is like literally making no money, maybe $175 sounds like a good deal, but
yeah.
I don't know.
But the thing is, though, if you think about it, like all these trash games that go up for like $1, right? And Valve gets 30 cents every time.
Right.
So it's really quite lucrative to Valve to actually have that massive flood of trash, because they're making like 30% on the dollar every time one of those things gets sold for whatever reason. So
Yeah,
it's kind of like there isn't really a great incentive for them to stop it, other than trying to look good, right?
yeah. I mean, like, unless it's
optics at
like
that point.
seriously threatening like their entire marketplace.
Well, the
then
problem is that it makes it shitty for developers like you, right, at your scale, If you
Right.
put your game up there, it used to be like, dude, I'm on the front page of Steam. I got it made. I'm going to get like 10,000 sales today. And with all that flip crap that's going on, you get shoved off the front page, within an hour. And, so discovery is absolutely the hardest problem on Steam. And it used to be like, I need to get discovered. I need to get on Steam. Well, not anymore. It's like being on the Android App Store.
Right.
It's like good luck. You're like a dot in in a
Yeah, for
like
sure.
one grain of sand in a castle, right?
That's why I'm hoping that building up a player base for Cosmoteer before launching on Steam will like help discovery. Like, hopefully,
Absolutely.
like if a few thousand people buy the game on day one, hopefully, Valve's algorithms will be like, hey, a bunch of people just bought this game. I should show it more.
What really has been proven to help is coming on the Space Game Junkie podcast, because everybody that's been on here has without fail. Like, I look at Chris
just
Roberts.
like instantly
he was on
sells
the
a
show.
million copies, right?
Yeah, Chris Roberts was on. What's he got? Like $800 million right now.
A lot.
That's what you.
There's
That's
a
what you
lot.
should do. That's how you
No,
fund
no, don't
the
do it.
rest of your game.
No.
Sell JPEGs to the ships.
No.
Okay.
It's a bad idea. It's gonna. Oh God. Let's not go down that road. That's a very bumpy road to go down.
And then loot boxes. Because
Oh.
my God, kids love loot boxes. We should put those in everything.
I'm not understanding that at all. I'm not understanding. I think is it tapping into a gambling thing? Is that what the thing is? Is that what?
Absolutely does. Yes.
Oh, okay.
See, back in my day,
Uh,
we used to have loot boxes in our games, but it was called a treasure chest, and you had to kill a fucking dragon to get it. You didn't just pay $1.
oh,
Yeah,
man.
I had someone try to convince me that Cosmoteer should have loot boxes in it. Just like one of my game developer friends, and I was just like,
Were they
no.
Were they joking? Were they kidding?
No, they were pretty serious.
What?
Yeah. Did you see okay, so the new Forza Motorsport came out, right? And the only way to get upgrades for your car is through loot boxes. And it used to
Really?
be like, okay, open up the thing, and then I go in and it's like, oh, I want to buy the, new headers or new brakes or whatever. And now it's like, well, I have to just start rolling random crates until I get the part that I want. And, I can grind that with in-game money.
You know what?
Yeah, and then they change. See, this is the problem, right? If it's a single player experience, it used to be, oh, it's pay to win for multiplayer, and now it's coming into single player, and it negatively impacts the single player gameplay because it makes the single player more grindy.
Yeah.
To inconvenience the player to the point where he's going to fork over it, like the Shadow of Mordor sequel that just came out, Shadow of War, I guess, which is a bit shady. See what I did there? But they like made the end game hugely long, right? It's like
Really?
you can get through the story, but if you want to see the true ending, well, get ready to grind for 100 hours.
Oh.
Or
Really?
you could play the
That's
loot box game. Yeah.
Oh. That's shitty. Excuse
Yeah,
my
because
language.
then it's actually got a multiplayer component where it's like you can build castles and stuff, and then like put orcs in your castles to defend it, and then other players can raid your stuff. Well, if you want the cool orcs to keep your castle from getting screwed up, yeah, you have to get those out of loot boxes. And if I come and I kill them, they're dead. So you have to loot box them again.
I mean, I guess I could see some kind of treasure chest system working for Cosmoteer where you get like special parts or cosmetic parts, like that thing.
I would just put it in as a joke.
You can only get you can only get purple bricks from loot crates or something,
Yeah, I think the only way my entire player base wouldn't abandon me is if it was a joke.
Yeah. Well, okay. So here's what I would do. I would put like some kind of like custom currency in the game. Like you have to mine and you get like little diamonds, and then you can spend the diamonds to buy a loot crate. But inside the loot crate is another loot crate, and inside that loot crate is another loot crate. So you have to get a crate in a crate in a crate, and then at the end you just get the meme guy that's like, "Yo, dog, I heard you like crates."
Either that or you get like, what is it in like the mimic? Either that or you get a mimic where the crate starts attacking your ship.
Oh my God, that would be hilarious! If
Yeah. Space
when
mimic.
loot crates attack.
Space
That,
Mimic.
dude, that's it. Just make a game for Steam called Loot Crate, the game,
You know what?
and it's all about fighting mimics.
Jim,
I'd be a little surprised if this didn't already exist.
I was gonna say someone's making this right
Well, it
now,
will-
and it's just
it will
loot
by
crates and
next
trading
Friday.
cards. Loot crates and trading cards. That's all it is. It's loot crates and like you open a loot crate to get a trading card. That's all it is.
In fact, it's a death match, and you have bazookas that fire loot crates. Death by loot crate. I don't know. That's where the industry's going. Death by loot crate.
I don't even know how we got on that topic, but I'm glad to hear
It's
Cosmoteer
just
will not
offensive
have.
to see free to play things, right? And that's how we got into this, right? Because your game is free, so it's like, well, it's a free game. Got to pay the guy, right? Developer got to eat. So yeah, we'll put cosmetic things or whatever in here, and you can ignore it or you can do it and feel good about it because the guy gets to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich tonight because you bought the thing. But whenever you take a AAA thing from Electronic freaking Arts and it's a $60 game, and then they cram it full of free to play mechanics
you already
because
paid
they're so
$60
jelly
for
of
it.
Blizzard.
Give me my game, please.
Yeah, and it's like don't make my $60 game shittier because you're then trying to inconvenience me into spending more money. I mean, it's already enough that we've seen. I see the pivot, right? Because like last year, it was buy the game for $60 and then buy the season pass for another $40. So now you have $100 game. And then this year, it's like, oh no, we realize that nobody really likes that. So all the DLC is with the game. Like Titanfall taught them, people actually like that. So now it's like, oh well, all DLCs included, but we got a lot of loot crates in there. So they're still trying to pinch money out. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I almost wish they would just be like, "Hey, we're going to charge $80 for this game because we think it's worth $80," as opposed to, I mean, like you put like loot crates and microtransactions in the game. Not only does it make the game more expensive, like it makes the game actually a worse game.
Yeah,
In
absolutely.
most cases, at least. And
Yeah,
so,
because it impacts the play experience.
Right.
Otherwise, there would be no incentivization to do it. But the thing is, if you look at the price of games, right? Like Brian, whenever you bought games, let's say in the early 2000s, how much did they cost? It was like $50, right?
Between 40 and 60, depending on the game, but yeah, between 40 and $60.
So given inflation, like $60 then is like $40 now, right?
Really?
So yeah, or well, opposite, right? So 40 then is like the 60 of now, right? It's like a few percent a year. So it's like the $60 game of today is more like a $40 game then, right? So the amount of purchase power that you have. So even though the price has remained about the same, the actual value of that money has gone down and salaries have gone up, right? So
yeah, cost of making games has gone up so much.
yeah, well, that and Hollywood got involved, right? So everything has to be like super production value craziness. But yeah, so I think honestly we get games fairly cheap, and then if you look at the Steam market, damn near all games are free if you wait 6 months, right? Like, Shadow of Mordor, the Shadow of War, or whatever the hell they call it. I saw that thing before it even launched. There was a 30% off coupon. And it's like, really? Are you kidding me? Like, you guys are a third off before the thing even hits the street. And most games, it's it'll be like you give it 6 months, and then it'll be 50%, and then you catch it on a Steam sale or something, and it'll be 25% and stuff. And then like what was it, like a year ago? Rise of the Tomb Raider came out. I just got it for free on for my $12 a month thing over at Humble Bundle. And it was just like in a bundle, $12, get a pile of games. And it's like, well, okay, so the value of a AAA title is about nothing after a year and a half. So yeah, I can see definitely why they're looking at like, okay, well, we can't get them with DLC anymore, so let's do loot boxes, and that's residual, right? Because somebody could fire this thing up a couple of years from now and just be like, I need to buy some of them loot boxes. So, and I think
no
that
one
all
will be playing
from,
a couple of years from now.
It doesn't matter because it's the single player experience. See, that's the thing. It's infiltrated single player. So now you're not dependent on having to compete with other people. It's just that the game's going to shit on you until you buy those loot boxes. So yeah, I mean, it's not dumb. It's just shitty. So I just wish they'd be honest and just charge more up front for the game. But like I said, it's like with Steam and their sales and stuff and that whole pattern, like the consumer is aware. It's like, hey, I'm going to wait 6 months. In fact, there's a Reddit group called Patient Gamers, and that you're not allowed to
I
talk
love
about
that
a game
Reddit
until
group.
it's 6 months old.
I love that group so much. I really do. It's one of my favorite Reddit groups, actually.
Yeah. So I used to tell people come on the show and be like, "What should I charge for this game?" It's like, well, "What do you want to make?" Well, I don't know, $10. I'm like, charge 20 because 6 months from now you're going to be 50% off. That's where you're going to make all your sales.
It's not an accurate.
Yeah.
I rarely, if I ever, buy anything full price anymore. Like,
yeah,
ever.
and if you want $10 and you put it up for 20, and then the first time a sale comes around, you drop it to half off, and people are going to be like, "Oh God, it's half off! I've wanted it. It's been on my wish list. Now is the time," and that's when you're going to get your spike.
Yeah, like,
or you get your release week people that like me are suckers, right? It's just like, well, I know it'll get cheaper, but I want to play it right now. Well, okay, so I paid a premium for that.
Yeah, like there's a game right now that's 75% off on Steam that I've been wanting for a while, but it's like, do I really need it? There are 2 other games in the series I've barely played.
Which
I need
one?
this one? It's that tank battles game. It's made by the Graviteam folks. You know what I'm talking about? The war games.
Yeah.
Operation
so
Star.
Like Operation Star. Or
yeah,
whatever.
yeah. It's their latest
front
game.
or the newest.
The latest game is Tank something or other.
With their games, they're all the same, and then all the DLC is going to get bundled in together. So if you haven't played the one to your satisfaction, it's really not worth going after the next one. Now, I mean, it's not a case of like, okay, so there's XCOM, and then there's XCOM 2, and then they put out that War of the Chosen thing, which is it's freaking XCOM 3, right? I mean, it changes XCOM 2 so much that came out it was $40, but I looked at that and I'm like, that's XCOM 3, really, to me.
I've been playing a lot of that. It's worth $40.
Yeah, because they made it damn near an RPG.
That's what I've heard. Yeah, I've heard it's amazing.
I think they need to go like the next step and actually make an RPG out of it.
It's not already.
That's the only.
Don't the soldiers
not
have?
Fully.
Oh, I thought the soldiers had stats and stuff.
Yeah, you do, but it's kind of like you quest around a little bit. It's like, oh, go here and rescue people or whatever. They give you kind of a selection of missions, but it ain't no Fallout, right? Where it's just like, okay, you totally decide what you want to do. You have a party of dudes and you run around. Like if they did a reboot of like a Fallout game and then they used XCOM's combat interface and it was like, okay, now you have a tribe of dudes, right? So, you can, let's say there's like 20 people that are warriors, and you decide what combination of 4 or 6 guys go on a mission.
They did that already.
Kind of Fallout XCOM.
They did that already. Yeah, and apparently they did that already, and no one liked it. That's from what I understand.
Well, because the engine was shitty.
Oh, really?
I'm talking about use an XCOM style system and just change the setting, and it would be perfect. Anytime I see a turn-based tactical like soldier game, I want to play it with the XCOM engine.
I think I don't know if you've played Wasteland 2, but that sounds pretty close to what you're describing.
Yeah, I own Wasteland 2. In fact, my former coworker Greg did some voices in that thing, so I was obligated to buy it, right?
Yeah, so there are some RPGs like Jagged Alliance, I guess, is probably the best example of that.
Yeah, I like the system of, and honest to God, I could see it happening for a game like BattleTech, right? So it's like you have walk or run. If you walk, you get to shoot. If you run, you don't. And if you stand still, maybe you get to shoot twice. Okay. That would be great. That works for damn near any kind of modern thing.
That's right? What Mission Force Cyberstorm did. And it worked great.
There you go. It invented it. I need to get that going. You said there was a patch that actually fixed it, right?
Yeah. I'll link it to you later. Yeah, but okay. I did get it working in Windows 7 here, and apparently it works in Windows 10, which has me giddy. Folks, if you haven't played, side note, if you haven't played Mission Force Cyberstorm, track it down. It works now in Windows 7.10 with this one guy who made some patches for it. It's so great.
The best part of that game is if your pilots piss you off, you can melt them down into goop and then like 3D print a new pilot.
Yeah, but when they die, it has that awful like turning into a skull animation that like traumatizes you for the rest of the day. You know. Sorry, Walt. Do you have any idea what we're talking about? We just kind
Not really.
that was it was like a mech strategy combat game that came out in the '90s based on the Earth Siege universe,
Mm.
and when the Earth Siege was a first-person like battle mech warrior style game by Sierra and Dynamics.
Yeah, I've heard of it. I've never played any of those games.
2D merits. Come back next week.
So how long do you for? Let's get back to your game. Sorry,
No
sorry everyone. We get on tangents sometimes. Back to your game. So your version like 0.12 right now. Does that mean like you have a long pre-release schedule ahead of you, like at least another year?
I mean, I'm sure there's at least a year between now and when the game could conceivably like no longer even be in early access. That's got to be like way more than a year. Um, I don't really have a fixed schedule that I'm trying to adhere to. I just kind of, I try to take it one feature at a time, and mostly just trying to make a great game. Um, so yeah, I don't really have a hard and fast schedule that I'm sticking to.
That's probably a good idea. I mean, as long as you tell people what your general plans are, usually that's enough. You don't have to give like exact timetables because
Yeah,
if you do, that's just a problem. Like look at Star Citizen. They said that was going to be done in 2014.
yeah, that came out in 2014, right?
Yeah,
Right?
I think maybe the hangar did. Maybe.
Yeah. I have a roadmap on Trello that people can go check out that has basically a bunch of features that I'm like planning and I'm considering. Um, and so you can kind of get a sense of where I'd like to take the game, but I certainly I don't have I haven't announced a schedule, and that's because I don't know what the schedule is.
Isn't Trello the best? Side note: Isn't Trello amazing?
It's pretty great. My players, the community, basically talked to me into making a Trello, and it's been good.
Yeah, I for my blog and YouTube channel here, I live by Trello. Like I use Trello every freaking day. Like I'm using it right now to keep track of the games we're talking about, so I can add them to the show notes. It's such a I love Trello, folks. If you haven't used Trello and you need to do any kind of project management or to do lists or anything, it's so amazing. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
I like that I can say post an idea to the Trello, and then just anyone from the community can then post comments on my feature on the Trello,
Yeah.
telling me how their ideas for this feature, so that once I actually go to implement the feature, I can read through all the comments that people have left, and maybe get inspired. Maybe that feature will be just a little bit better because someone had a cool idea for it.
And it's so amazing because like you can search through all those, you can archive everything and save everything. It just becomes this like font of knowledge. You know, it's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty great.
Oh, Minnie Mergle posted a link to it. Well, that's pretty cool.
Minnie Mergle is one of my moderators on the Discord.
Oh, okay. Hi. Hi, moderator. Oh, so you have a Discord too?
Yes, there's absolutely a Cosmoteer Discord. You can probably the easiest way to get to it is if you go to the Cosmoteer website is cosmoteer.net, and there's a link at the top that will just invite you to the Discord.
Oh, yeah, there it is. Discord is so great, isn't it?
Yeah, I like it a lot. Another thing my players talk to me into doing, and it's been a good thing.
And it's super handy. The only downside, I don't know if you run into this problem, but once you start using it, you're like, I want to join all the servers. And
Yeah,
it's
that's
like,
been a
wait,
problem, and then I basically had to mute everything but my own
oh,
server.
oh my god, right? That's pretty much what I've had to do. Is mute just about everything but my own server. Like I visit them every
It's
so
like
often, but it's like I can't hang out with
super
you.
gnarly when you're trying to stream something like this, and then your Discord's like, ga-ding, 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 ga-ding. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I had to mute everything because it's like, nope, stop it. God damn it! But
yeah, I wish I could start. I wish I could set a default behavior of every time I join a server, mute it.
I wish, but you can't. And I forget that, like, if I join a server and don't change it, like, my phone will start going off a billion times because I didn't set it to just mentions or whatever. It's like, oh crap, I don't want that server to ding my phone every 3 seconds. God damn it. But Discord is great. I gotta say, I'm also a fan of your website, Cosmoteer.net, as you said.
Thank you.
Because it's so
myself.
It's so simple. It's so simple.
The reason why it's simple is because I know basically nothing about web development, and so this is basically the best I could muster.
No, this is perfect. This is. I mean, let me see. Let me shrink the browser, see if it like shrinks with it. Oh, it mostly does. Yeah, it mostly stays. It mostly stays responsive. No, this. Oh yeah, no, it's definitely shrinking. And okay, one of the big things in the internet, like marketing now, is mobile friendliness.
Yeah.
And so no, yeah, I deal with websites every day. They're just trying too hard, trying way too hard to be all whiz bangy, to be all slick and shit. It's like, no, people just want to get.
That just makes it low.
Yeah, it makes it. I
miss GeoCities back whenever it was simple.
GeoCities.
It was like I got a page, and I got some text on it, and maybe an animated GIF for 20. That's it.
Yeah, now everyone wants parallax scrolling and garbage that you don't need.
I know, dude. It's like, do you have Node.js on your thing, or
people
what about
still
jQuery, or
people
what
still
about
have auto running videos? People still have auto running music. Like, haven't people learned no one likes that?
Yeah, that went out with like punching the monkey.
No, it hasn't. That's what I'm saying. I ran into a site that does that.
That's what I'm saying, though. It's like people detected really early on. That's why we have ad blockers today. Nobody really cared about banner ads. People really were offended about, like, oh, I go to a web page and it starts auto playing stuff, right? Like, I'm trying to stealth browse at work, and it's like, hello, you're the 10th. Yeah, thanks. Or like punch the monkey and win, and like animated crap popping up over your page, and it's just like, well, people aren't clicking on our banner ads. We need to make those more obnoxious. Yeah.
I think you missed
and then and that's what you get, right? Is the whole, like, banner ads don't work, and then you become obnoxious, and then people block your shit, and and then we're seeing this with YouTube now, where it's like, well, everybody runs ad block, so little bit of revenue apocalypse going on over there.
Oh,
so yeah. And that's why I think what needs to come back is in podcast sponsored things. This show brought to you by Boogers. I don't know, whatever. I keep waiting, man. I'm waiting on the sequel to Booger Man to get made.
No one has ever
greatest game on the Genesis. Huh?
No one has ever offered us a sponsorship, and I'm fine with that. I don't.
Dude, if Booger Man 2 came along and said, would you sponsor us? I'd be like, yes, for free.
I've never heard of this. I've never heard of this game.
Well, it's a strange, ugly cousin to Earthworm Jim. No relation, but same sense of humor.
Oh, that's
had nothing to do with Shiny, I don't think. But yeah, you were a caped superhero named Booger Man, and it was Booger Man, a pick and flick adventure, and it was just everything that was right about the Genesis era.
Wow.
I'm gonna just see how many times I can say booger in one show.
Apparently quite a bit.
Yes, apparently. That's actually how when you turn on the system, Booger Man's on there, and he just looks at the screen and like whips up a finger, and he's like, Booger, and that's the whole title of the game. It's awesome, super great. I love it. Cosmoteer. This podcast brought to you by Cosmoteer. Loot crates in space.
So right now, I think you only have about a dozen guns. I think maybe half a dozen. Like,
I not even that. I think yeah, it's more like 6.
are you going to be adding more? Because the variety is pretty neat. There's a laser cannon, and an actual. I love that there's an actual cannon, like an
There are
honest to
2 of them.
god.
There's a
Yeah, they're
big
honest to
and
god.
small.
They're honest to god cannons, but there's also like a lightning gun thing. I think.
The electro bolt.
Yes, thank you. The electro bolt.
I don't know. No one ever remembers exactly what it's called. I don't really know
Do,
I
do
don't.
you
how
have,
I came up with that.
I
do
don't
you have
remember
shields
either.
on the ships?
Sorry, do I have what?
Do you have shields?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
but they're
Because
directional.
it's
So if you have one shield generator, you have to point it in a specific direction. It's not like
okay.
a
That's
full.
that's right. I remember now. It
Yeah,
puts like a crescent thing out in
yeah,
front. Because
yeah.
yeah,
It's
I
not a
remember
full
like
bubble.
the
Yeah,
last time I played it, I had to put like 3 of them across the front of my ship. But yeah,
yeah. And I learned the hard way when I built a ship not to put the bridge right in the front with no armor. That didn't. That ship did not last very long.
yeah, that doesn't work out really well.
That doesn't work out very well. So are you going to be like, are you, because I noticed, and I kind of like this because it didn't like make me paralyzed by choice, that the part list was very manageable. It was very like low, which I actually liked. You
hmm
know what I mean? So are you going to plan to keep it, like, I know people love all the toys and all the gadgets, but are you going to try and keep those parts and those things like like to a manageable size? Or are you just going to go all out?
So being manageable is always good. But I do think, like honestly, the game needs a lot more parts for your ship than it has right now. It does, to be frank, kind of get stale with only like the 6 or so weapons that you can build right now. I imagine eventually there will be like some sort of like progression system where like you can maybe like either you like unlock weapons through research or something like that, or like maybe different weapons you need different resources to build. So by kind of like slowly introducing more weapons over time, hopefully that will keep it manageable. Because I mean, you're absolutely right. Like if the game was like from the very beginning, here are the 30 different weapons you can build, have fun, that's that's kind of intimidating, right? Like where do I start?
Yeah, exactly. Like, so maybe might you have things like in an unlock system, like if you make a certain amount, like if you kill a certain amount of ships, then maybe you can unlock a certain gun or something that you might have before.
Yeah, maybe something like that. I mean, probably wouldn't be directly tied to number of ships you kill, but I don't, maybe it's like you go on a mission and then you get like the schematics for, as a reward for the mission, you get a schematics for a new weapon or something like that.
That actually brings up an interesting question. Will there be any kind of like crafting, like you find blue bullprints? What the hell am I saying? Blueprints? What the hell are bullprints? Why am I
I don't
saying
know,
that?
but they sound
I
cool.
don't. That does actually sound kind of cool. What? What? So will you have crafting where like you find blueprints, and be able to build the thing you found?
I'm honestly not sure yet. I would like to have some sort of like resources that you can find, whether that's just maybe like a couple types of resources, or whether that's like like dozens of different types of resources that are very like part specific. I'm honestly not sure yet. Um, but I could maybe see doing some amount of crafting. But I don't know yet.
Yeah, because that's all the rage right now, isn't it? Crafting, like everyone.
It's a thing for sure. I mean, it would certainly like be pretty cool if you could like build a like say like a factory ship that had a bunch of like you could like it would mine resources and then it had a bunch of factories which could say convert those resources into like you could mine iron and it would convert iron into like refined iron or something like that that you would then use to build advanced systems or something like that.
Would that be hard to put in the game? Because it sounds like a lot more. I don't know, data. It sounds a lot more like things to juggle, like spinning plates, that sort of thing. Would that kind of thing be difficult to put into the game?
Like hard for me as the developer.
Yeah,
I mean, it would take a lot of work, sure. I mean, a lot of stuff in this game has taken a lot of work to make, so I guess I'm no stranger to that. Uh, I mean, like good, cool features usually take a lot of time to do, and that's what I've signed on for.
right. So what are like? I want to ask this question without you like giving too much away, but like, because it sounds like you have a lot planned for this game, which is awesome. What would you say is the thing you're most excited about implementing in this game so far?
The thing I'm most excited about implementing. Um, uh, I am really looking forward to making the kind of uh like a mining salvaging system where like you mine or salvage resources and then like those get stored on your ship and then like you use those to build things. I think that will be interesting to develop.
Yeah, because I don't know if you know, but I love mining like a lot.
A lot
When
of people do.
when it's fun, like like in Elite Dangerous, not fun at all in any, but not any way fun. But like
Yeah, I don't
some
want it to be like super grindy, right? Like I want you to be able to do it pretty fast. And probably like being able to increase the game speed will help with that. Um, so I don't want it to be super grindy, but like people like mining things is satisfying. Salvaging resources from destroyed enemy ships like is satisfying. It's definitely a little weird right now that you destroy an enemy ship and somehow magically you get money from that, but then like you can't do anything with any of the bits and pieces that are left over. That just like feels weird, right? So it would definitely be cool if you could take the scraps of the enemy ship and I don't know, melt those down and then turn them into new additions for your own ship. That'd be cool.
or maybe like if you melt them down, it doesn't cost as much to repair because you have like materials on hand or something like that.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that would be awesome. Like I didn't destroy all of that ship, so this repair bill will be less. I was very careful about how I blew it up. Like now one thing I'm curious, will cuz right now destroying ships seems to involve blowing up their reactor.
hmm
Will there be a way to say just render a ship inoperative by killing their crew? Like, is there going to be that kind of crew simulation where, like, if all the individual crew members are killed, the ship is rendered inoperative?
yeah, I mean, I imagine so. The whole thing where like if you destroy all the reactors and like the ship blows up and you get money, that's really just kind of like this kind of like weird mechanic that I created for the sake of the bounty hunter mode, which again is like kind of temporary. Um, Eventually, I think it would make sense if like enemy ships will maybe surrender to you. Um,
Ooh.
yeah, like if you do enough damage to them, maybe then they'll surrender. Like you take out their weapons. I can see, yeah, like if you take out all their crew, um, things like that. Maybe you can just like capture an enemy ship, like just get it in your tractor beam and haul it back to a friendly star base, and then the police will take it from there.
Oh wait, are you going to be implementing police? Wait, what?
I'm not promising anything here. That was top of my head.
That would be awesome though, if there were space police and like you're trying to take out a bounty and they come and help you. That'd be great.
Or you're attacking the good guys and they fight you.
Yeah, no, also great. Also great. Yeah, no, I'm totally backseat programming here. I'm
Grand Theft Spaceship.
totally backseat designing here. So
No
like
problem.
you should do this. What the fuck do I know?
No, no problem. I'll just do everything. Everything's
Yes,
really
do
easy.
everything. Go, do,
Most of the
just
time,
go.
most of the
Why
time
are you even
I
talking to
sit on
me?
my ass all day and
Why are
then
you
watch
even
TV.
talking to me? Just go. Just stop. Just stop talking to me and go. Fix this game. God,
If only it were that easy.
I know, right? So do you now? I hate to ask this particular one, but there are a good chunk of other spacey buildy games out there right now.
Indeed, there are.
Do you feel any pressure from the competition of those, or do you feel like your game is different enough that it stands on its own and doesn't, and you don't need to worry about that competition, or do you like get inspired by them, or like how does that affect
All
you?
of the above. I
Oh,
mean, do I
okay.
worry that like the market is saturated with space games? Yeah, for sure I do.
Oh,
Uh,
who would have thought
but
that
on the
five,
flip
six
side, there are
years
all
ago?
these space games, and that seem to be demonstrating that there exists a pretty sizable market
Yeah.
for space games, right?
Yeah.
I hope that I am making a game that does stand out, right? Um, that's what I'm trying at any rate. So I am optimistic. I've certainly like there are clearly a lot of people who are really enjoying the game. I hope that that just continues to grow, especially once the game is actually on Steam. Um, so I'm optimistic, but am I a little nervous? Yeah, honestly.
Yeah. Who would have thought 5, 6 years ago? That's when I started Space Game Junkie. That there'd be all these space games. I know.
It's pretty crazy.
It is. Like right now, there. I usually try and cover a game a week, and if a game comes out, I'll cover it in the following week. But in the last like week or two, 6 games came out. How am I supposed to deal with that? Yeah, I'm just randomly putting up coverage of all of them as I feel like it, because it broke my brain. It broke my brain to try and keep track of all of them. And there's more coming. There's been at least 2 or 3 dozen space games that came out just this year. That's crazy. We didn't even have that kind of frequency in the 90s when it was all the space games. It's insane. And most of them are really good. That's the great thing. Most of them are really good. Wait, Minnie Merkel was saying 2,900 people were in your Discord the other day? Or earlier today?
They're not online at the same time, but yeah, the Discord has almost 3,000 members. We have not quite hit the 3,000 threshold.
Holy garbage. I don't even know how many mine has. Only a couple hundred, I think. Damn. This is what happens when you make a free game.
I know. We should start giving out candy or something.
But
it's a wonder what happens when things are free.
it's crazy.
I heard we got some popsicles on the podcast.
It's crazy because I mean, I think there's always been a market for space games. It's just that's not what the designers and the publishers wanted for many years. Oh, we're about 400 members. Thank you, Spaz. Thank you. That's not bad for
6 of which I like though. I mean,
stop it.
But you know who you are.
But we're super niche, and I'm also not the best at promoting myself, so that's my fault. That's better than I anticipated, actually. But 3,000 members, that's insane. That is really, really great. Congratulations.
Thank you. I was looking at some of my like actual game metrics for people playing the game, and I think in the past 3 months, it's probably about like 150,000 people have played, which is pretty sweet.
Oh my god. That wow. Well done. I mean, yeah, you can go far with free, but still.
I mean, I'm sure if the game wasn't free, it wouldn't be nearly that many.
Right,
so being free helps a lot.
But a lot of those people know that you're going to charge for it eventually, and even if they don't have a lot of money, they're probably saving so they can buy it when it's ready.
I hope so.
I wouldn't be surprised.
You know what you
wouldn't
should
be
do?
Surprised.
You could have
get
the
a few
game.
percent of those.
What you could do is you have the game run, right? But in the background, it's mining bitcoins.
I feel like I just read some Reddit post about something that was doing that.
I could imagine.
I feel pretty safe promising right here that Cosmoteer will never mine Bitcoin in the background.
Well, I saw there was a game on Steam and it was called like Bitcoin Spinner or some crap, right? And it's one of those 99-cent deals, like we talked about before. But I thought, there's a lot of people that would like to mine Bitcoin, but they have no concept of how to do it. If somebody made a quote game, right, that was just like a split, right? It's like, hey, we're going to mine Bitcoins on your machine through no effort of yours. You don't have to set it up, but I'm going to split the money with you. So, hey, free money, right? And terms of service of that application would be pretty.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I guess
it's like, I'll send you a check, honest, I promise.
Yeah, as long as everyone is honest about and knows what they're getting into, then I suppose fine. But
Yeah.
uh,
Well, there was some app that was like in the cell phone market that did that, where it's like my phone is super hot in my pocket. I wonder why. Oh, it's mining bitcoins because I downloaded some Chinese Tetris clone.
that's a good way to extend your battery life, right?
Yeah, no doubt.
Apparently, some Spaz just posted in the stream chat that there's apparently a 74-cent game called Bitcoin Collector.
Yep, that's the one.
74 cents.
Yeah, that's the one. And I'm just thinking like, is that bitch mining Bitcoin in the background while grandma's like playing it? It would be absolutely perfect for one of those idle clicker games too. It's just like, just leave it in your taskbar and you win. No, I mean I win because I'm making Bitcoin off your machine. Whatever. Sorry, I was just having a moment of evil. I'll go back to my volcano lair now. Here's a cool game. Put in your social security number to log in. Free account.
Jeez, yeah. So what is the next big thing coming for Cosmoteer? Like, what's in the next patch?
well,
You
I
don't
mean,
have
the
to.
next big thing,
You don't have to say
is going to be
when.
the multiplayer patch.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Wow. Yeah, that's huge.
and then I imagine the next few patches after that will be kind of like building on top of the multiplayer functionality, like adding. So I think like the very first version will basically just be like player versus player, like over LAN, um, or like you can type someone's IP address in and connect to them that way. Um, and then like once I kind of like have that working and it's stable, I'd like to add things like being able to add say AI players to the match so that like you can team up with your friends against the AI. Um, I like to have like an observer mode, so like one player or multiple players could just be an observer of a game. That could be useful if you like want to run tournaments, things like that, right? Um, so kind of like flesh out the multiplayer features. And then after multiplayer, I'm honestly not sure yet. Um, I'll probably go through my Trello, see what people are excited about, and pick something I'm also personally excited to work on. But exactly what that's going to be, I honestly don't know yet.
I kind of like that you have a mix of a plan, but also the free form mindset that I'm going to follow what's interesting. You know, I'm going
Yeah,
to.
I mostly wing it, to be honest.
But it seems to be working for you. I mean, we all have our own workflows, you know, and that particular method seems to be working just fine for you.
So far so good.
Mini Murgle would say more paint layers would be better than multiplayer. I don't know.
Mini Murgle has been asking for that. I might look into adding another paint layer. There's some technical reasons why I can't do a ton of paint layers. But I might be able to add one more paint layer. I'll try looking into it.
What would you say is the biggest technical challenge with making a game like this?
Oh gosh, where to begin? Um, certainly the whole crew simulation has been a real big technical challenge. I mean, like that involves things like pathfinding as crew try to figure out how to navigate around the ship. Like the kind of AI behind like how crew get assigned to specific jobs. That system has gone under a lot of revision and it's still, as my players complain about a lot, very far from perfect. Um, and then many crew wandering out around the ship because like big ships could have like potentially 1,000 or more individual crew on it. Um, just like the CPU cost of simulating all those crew becomes really substantial, and so it's like just trying to optimize that down as much as possible.
Yeah, like April
That's been a
1st,
real
you need
big
to put out a
challenge.
fake dev note that says, and now each individual crew will have their own needs and motivations and separate AI about their behavior. It'll be like The Sims, but 1,000 of them,
That sounds like a terrible idea.
little lemmings or Kerbals, right? You know.
Basically, right?
Oh, there needs to be a Kerbal mod where I can turn those little dudes into Kerbals.
Yeah,
I'm sure someone will probably make that.
I'm not going to make that because I don't want to get sued.
No,
But
right.
I'll leave that up to my players.
Don't call them Fraggles either, because that'll also.
Well, folks, the game is Cosmoteer. It is free at cosmoteer.net.
Inexplicably free.
And it's really quite fascinating. And multiplayer is only a stone's throw away, apparently, and more is coming. Eventually it's going to be on Steam. Eventually it's going to cost money. But right now you can jump in for free and see what 100-some thousand other people have found to love about the game. That's amazing.
Have you had any like large scale YouTubers pick it up, like Scott Manley or Angry Joe or any of those people?
Depends on what you mean by large scale. I believe there were 1 or 2 YouTubers who had like 1 million plus followers.
That'll do.
Play the game.
Can you please introduce me to them? Because
I can try.
I would like to ask some business tips. Yeah.
So, folks, that'll do it for this episode. Just a couple of quick programming notes. Thursday, if we can get it to work, we're going to try multiplayer for Warhammer 40,000 Space Wolf, which is a XCOM-like game with cards. There's a couple problems, though. One, it seems to be only 1v1. And 2, it doesn't look like you can directly choose who you play against.
That's
yeah.
a thing.
I was testing it the other day, and it didn't look like that worked. So
wow, Battlefleet Gothic made this same error.
I agree,
Also
and it's a huge error. And so we're gonna, like I said, we're gonna try to play that. If that doesn't work, we might come up with a plan B. We're thinking maybe classic Battlefront 2 because it just got that big multiplayer patch, and we've been kind of itching to test it out and play around with it. So maybe that. We'll see how Thursday works out, and then next week on the show, we are going to be welcoming the developer of Nightstar Rogue Wings, which is a Unreal powered shooter thing, which is actually quite a bit of fun. There's a video on the YouTube channel I made it's actually quite enjoyable. So that's next week on the show. So Walt, I want to thank you for taking the time to out of your evening to come on and talk to us about
this was a blast. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah,
and
we
by the way,
definitely
the
had fun.
Space Wingman thing.
The what?
If you're a fan, the Rogue Wing, I can't remember the name.
Nightstar Rogue Wings.
Nightstar Rogue Wing, right?
Yeah.
If you're a fan of Gunmetal, the old game where your robot transform into a plane kind of thing, the spaceship flying stuff is fairly similar to the plane part of Gunmetal.
Okay.
So you kind of know what you're getting into there.
Oh, okay. I've heard of that game.
I may have shown him Gunmetal footage at great length.
I've heard of Gunmetal, but I've never played it. I've heard it's great.
Oh my God, 2D Merits come back next week.
I will track it down somehow. But anyway, folks,
it's really cheap on the Steams, but yeah, we'll talk with him about that then because I have much to say about Gunmetal and how his game could also be super awesome.
I will definitely have to figure that out, folks.
I mentioned the Gunmetal's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna.
Folks, if you haven't liked or subscribed or anything of those things, I ask you to do so. I try not to bug you about that too much. I don't want to do it on every show, but every now and again, I just want to ask, please, join our Discord, join our Facebook, subscribe to the YouTube channel, because we work hard over here. No, you don't have to do that.
Send me money.
We do have a Patreon. We do have a Patreon if you want to give to that, but you don't have to. If you don't want to. Because I have a job. But want to thank you guys for listening, and we will see you next time. Have a great night, everyone. Bye-bye.